Hello, hello, I'm the official name writer. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, sometimes I get brain farts, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today, we're looking at Zangoose and Zangoose alone, and these look like they are the exact same link. I never thought about this before, because when Young Goose came out, while everyone was busy saying, ha ha ha, Donald Trump, I was busy like Ricky Tikki Tavi. And I never thought about the idea of Zangoose fitting it as well, and the idea of other people maybe using it. I just named it Tavi by itself, because I feel like that should work, but I mean, Ricky Tikki works, and technically you could put the full Ricky Tikki Tavi in there, you just gotta sacrifice all the spaces, but yeah, it could work. I just personally use it for Young Goose. I'll be honest, I actually didn't know that had anything to do with David Bowie. I know a bit about David Bowie, but not like a lot. And I lived with a guy who was convinced I was a closet David Bowie fan because I was like, no, I like this song and that song, but I'm not a fan of him. And he was like, no, I think you're a closet Bowie fan. Yeah, I didn't know. Ziggy Stardust. Apparently that's his glam alter ego, so I'll acknowledge it for the sake of it. And then this is the one I personally use. It just, I looked at it and I was like, this makes sense. It fits exactly, like it's perfect with it. And I also kind of like it because Nemesis is just a good sounding word. And then I also kind of have like the Resident Evil feels with it. So it hits on every single right mark with me. So this is the one I personally use. Kratos will acknowledge, I don't really have anything negative to say about it. Like it makes sense, especially with his pale body and then the red markings in addition. So yeah, totally fine. And Zangoose has kind of like a aggressive, warlike demeanor as well. So yeah, it hits in all the right places as well. Rambo's worth acknowledging. Pretty sure we've talked about it in the past. Not too much extra to say about it. It's fine. Alternatively, instead of calling it Ziggy, you could just call it David Bowie. Okay, I actually hate how well this joke works. Like, at first I was like, oh, G.I. Joe, that's interesting. And then I read the description, and I was like, fuck you. That is actually really funny. I believe Arbok's enemy is like Spiro and Arbok hate each other, so I guess if you wanted to do something like that for a literal Cobra. But, I don't know, I really like that joke. That's just funny to me. Shredder I see a lot for Golisopod, but I guess you could use it for Zangoose as well, because, I mean, I feel like its signature moves are going to be the things where it's slashing and slicing and stuff like that. So, you could use that. Okay, yeah, Zook. Zook, Pokemon XD, his signature Pokemon was Zangoose, which is, since trainers didn't really have themes, the closest thing to that is just the area music for when you fight him, which is what's playing. Zook was something else. All the characters in XD and Coliseum were great in the worst fucking way, and I loved it. They all had dumb nicknames too. They all had dumb names. People names. Alright, going over these. Scar, I saw that before, and I'll be honest, like, unless you're trying, like, we get it, it's got a fucking scar in its face, haha. But I don't know, to me it's just not interesting a nickname, and my first thought with Scar is going to be the Lion King. That's basically it. Scarface, on the other hand, is totally fine. It references the pattern on his eye. Not at all the famous Scarface character, which I don't know if we've seen in the past or not, but the idea of that as a nickname is interesting to me as well. Slasher, Hacker is dumb. Shredder we already talked about. Striker I don't really care for. I mean, I like Striker in Mortal Kombat, but that's different. Berserker, we technically have that with Meowth now as Perzerker. At the time, that didn't exist, so it's whatever, but I don't know. I just don't really care for that as a name either. It's kind of just like a generic first-person shooter enemy name. And then Avenger, that's not terrible as well. Like, that one's okay. I think it's probably going to be, like, considered acceptable just because Avengers is such a big thing and just the word by itself isn't terrible. I don't know. It's half and half. Alright, we've reached the bottom. basically the best of it was from Pokemonnet. This was just someone else sharing this on their own Tumblr. And this, I didn't even know the characters actually had names. They're like two Team Plasma Grunts. Their Pokemon aren't nicknamed, but they have a Seviper and a Zangoose. I don't know. The spreadsheet was empty. Meant to mention that earlier, but I didn't. Anyway, since Pokemon.net had basically the best things, we'll kind of go ahead and just recap it because G.I. Joe, that was funny. I like that one a lot. Ziggy Stardust or David Bowie. Just don't call it David. No one's going to know who the fuck David is. Call it David Bowie. Kratos, and the most popular one that I saw out of all of these was just Ricky Tikki Tavi. And I guess I just missed out on that party because I saved mine for Young Goose. I never looked at, and I know it's going to sound stupid because it's in the name, Zangoose, Mongoose, like it's there. I just never thought about that before, so I didn't piece it together as to where when Young Goose came out, I was like, that one! And yeah. Meanwhile, everyone else was busy shouting Donald Trump. But again, the one I personally use is Nemesis. I like the way it sounds. I think it fits. And Resident Evil 3. So, any other ideas and suggestions you have for Zangoose, leave in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to the ones that you think are good. And look forward to the next episode when we cover Seviper.